The air was eerily still, a suffocating silence blanketing the farm as the farmer burst onto the porch, heart racing. Before him, the tall trees swayed in perfect unison, their leafy crowns bending as if bowing to an unseen force. Yet, there was no breeze, no whisper of wind to explain this synchronized dance of nature. A chill crept down his spine, and he squinted into the darkness, searching for the source of this unnatural phenomenon. The world around him felt suspended in time, a moment frozen in dread. The moonlight illuminated the scene, casting long shadows that twisted and flickered, hinting at something beyond comprehension. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the movement ceased, leaving the trees standing still, yet their posture hinted at a lingering presence. Something was watching, something that defied explanation and stirred a primal fear deep within him. What miracle or horror had unfolded in the heart of the night? The night stretched out like a dark canvas, pierced only by the silver brush strokes of moonlight cascading down over the expansive fields. Silence reigned, an unsettling hush that enveloped the farm, thick and tangible, as if the very air was holding its breath. The farmer stood at the edge of the wooden porch, his heart pounding like a war drum in his chest, each beat echoing the primal instinct of fight or flight. He had seen many strange things in his years, but nothing could have prepared him for this. There, before him, the tall trees swayed in perfect unison, their branches and leafy crowns bowing low, as if orchestrated by an invisible conductor. This was no ordinary rustle of the wind. There was no breeze, no gust to explain the mesmerizing choreography of the treetops. Instead, they moved slowly, deliberately, as if acknowledging a presence that was both ancient and unfathomable. The sight sent chills racing down his spine, a primal fear urging him to retreat, yet his feet felt rooted to the ground. He squinted into the shadows that clung to the edges of his vision, desperately searching for something, anything, that could explain this eerie phenomenon. The air was heavy, charged with an electricity that felt alive, crackling with an energy that was almost sentient. The world around him seemed to pulse, the very fabric of reality bending around this moment of inexplicable strangeness. What miracle or horror had unfolded in the heart of the night? The silence deepened, pressing against him like a thick fog. Every breath he took tasted metallic, sharp against his tongue. It was as if the universe had paused, holding its breath in anticipation of something unspeakable. In the distance, a lone owl hooted, its call echoing through the oppressive quiet, only to be swallowed whole by the darkness. Somewhere beneath the surface of this calm, he felt a vibration, a deep, resonating hum that thrummed through the ground beneath his feet, reverberating in his bones. It was a sound that seemed to beckon him closer, drawing him into its mysterious embrace. Suddenly, the movement of the trees ceased as abruptly as it had begun, leaving an unsettling stillness in its wake. They stood frozen, their branches caught in a posture that was both reverent and foreboding, as if they were guardians of something that lay hidden just beyond the veil of perception. His breath hitched in his throat as he began to feel it, a presence, an intelligence lurking just out of sight, watching him with an intensity that made the hairs on the back of his neck stand on end. The sensation was suffocating, like being ensnared in a web spun by an unseen architect. In that moment, he felt an overwhelming urge to turn back, to retreat into the safety of his home. But something held him there, a tether that anchored him to the porch. The trees, with their intricate geometry of branches and leaves, seemed to pulse with life, their silhouettes shifting under the moonlight, casting shadows that danced and flickered as if they were alive. It was a visual symphony, a bizarre melding of nature and something otherworldly, and he found himself entranced. Just then, a sound sliced through the silence, a low, throbbing hum that seemed to emanate from the very core of the earth. It vibrated through the air, sending tremors through the wooden boards of the porch. The farmer's heart raced as he strained to comprehend the source of this rhythm, this alien heartbeat that resonated with the very essence of the land. It was a sound unlike anything he had ever heard, a harmony of frequencies that seemed to speak to something deep within him, awakening instincts that had long lain dormant. He took a tentative step forward, drawn in by the magnetic pull of the unknown. The darkness was thick, clinging to him like a shroud, yet the allure of the trees, now standing sentinel in their eerie stillness, was too compelling to resist. The air around him crackled, a feeling of static electricity sparking at his fingertips, causing him to shiver involuntarily. Then, in the periphery of his vision, he caught a glimpse, a fleeting shadow that darted between the trees, too quick and too elusive to identify. His breath caught, heart pounding violently against his ribcage. Had he truly seen something, or was it merely a trick of the light? The question gnawed at him, a relentless curiosity battling against the instinctual fear that urged him to flee. The moon hung high in the sky, bathing the landscape in an ethereal glow, and for a moment he felt as if the world had been stripped of its mundane layers, revealing a hidden truth that lurked just beneath the surface. What was it that had stirred this stillness? What unseen force had compelled the trees to bow in such a synchronized manner? As he stood there, teetering on the edge of understanding and terror, the vibration beneath his feet intensified, resonating with an urgency that felt almost alive. It was as if the earth itself was speaking to him, whispering secrets that were both alluring and terrifying. He could feel the pulse of something greater than himself, a cosmic energy that transcended the boundaries of his comprehension. Suddenly, the shadows shifted again, and he felt an overwhelming compulsion to look deeper into the darkness, seeking answers in the void. The night felt alive, the very essence of the farm pulsing with a rhythm that was both unsettling and beautiful. And just as he thought he could grasp the truth of the moment, it slipped away, leaving only an unsettling echo of something profound and unexplainable. What lay beyond the trees? What had stirred them to such motion? These questions echoed in his mind, weaving through the fabric of his being as he stared into the abyss of the night. The wind had stopped, and the trees had turned, but the mystery of what had truly transpired was only beginning to unfold. In that stillness, amidst the uncertainty, he felt the weight of the unknown pressing down upon him, a promise of revelations that were both terrifying and miraculous. Something was out there, and it was watching, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. The air was heavy, thick, with an unspeakable tension that wrapped itself around the farm like a shroud. The moonlight cast elongated shadows that danced across the fields, shifting and bending in ways that defied explanation. It was a serene facade, yet beneath it lay an undercurrent of disquiet that thrummed through the very ground he stood upon. The stillness felt deceptive, as though the quiet of the night was merely a prelude to something far more sinister lurking just out of sight. As he took a step forward, the cool earth beneath his feet seemed to vibrate in response, a subtle yet unmistakable pulse that resonated with an ancient rhythm. It was as if the land itself was alive, breathing in tandem with his own labored breaths. Each heartbeat echoed in his ears, a steady drum that matched the growing intensity of the vibrations. His senses heightened, and every sound took on a new significance. The rustle of leaves, the distant call of an owl, even the faint hum of electricity in the air. He strained to listen, to discern the whispers hidden within the symphony of the night. Yet, no matter how intently he focused, all he could perceive was a low, resonant thrum that seemed to emanate from everywhere and nowhere all at once. It felt like a warning, a deep-seated instinct that told him he was not alone. The shadows around him morphed and twisted, taking on shapes that evoked both wonder and dread. They seemed to hold secrets stories of the unseen that danced just beyond the edges of his understanding. The world around him transformed into a tapestry woven with threads of mystery and fear. The cornfield stretched endlessly before him, rows of darkened stalks standing sentinel under the moon's watchful gaze. The wind, which had been so still moments before, began to stir again. But it carried with it a different energy, an electric charge that crackled in the air and set the fine hairs on the back of his neck on edge. It was a soundless sound, a vibration that resonated within his very core, beckoning him to delve deeper into the unknown. Suddenly, a flash of light erupted in the distance, illuminating the field in a surreal glow. It was not the warm yellow of a lantern or the soft white of a flashlight. This light pulsed with an otherworldly hue, blues and greens that shifted and shimmered like liquid gemstones, casting eerie shadows that danced across the ground. He squinted into the brightness, heart racing, trying to discern its source. Was it a reflection of the moon, or something far more enigmatic? The light flickered, revealing a delicate geometry etched into the earth, a pattern that felt both alien and achingly familiar, a formation that seemed to resonate with the very pulse of the universe. It twisted and turned, spirals entwining in a way that defied logic, as if the laws of nature had bent to accommodate a truth that was beyond human comprehension. He felt an overwhelming urge to approach, to step closer to the glowing anomaly that beckoned him like a siren's call. Yet, as he moved forward, a deep-seated fear gripped him. What if this was a trap, a lure designed to ensnare the unwary? The very thought sent chills coursing down his spine, but curiosity tugged at him with an insistent hand. He was caught in a web of conflicting emotions, horror and fascination, fear and intrigue battling for dominance in his mind. As he neared the light, the air around him thickened, charged with a palpable energy that set his teeth on edge. The sounds of the night faded into a muffled silence, wrapping him in an eerie cocoon where only the pulsating light remained, like a heartbeat in the dark. It felt as though the universe itself held its breath, waiting for him to make a choice. What was this presence that loomed just beyond the veil of his understanding? What ancient intelligence had stirred the very fabric of reality around him? He was teetering on the precipice of discovery, yet the abyss below whispered of dangers that transcended mortal comprehension. Suddenly, a low hum reverberated through the air, a sound that felt like it resonated with the core of his being. It was not a sound meant for human ears, a frequency that seemed to vibrate at a dimension he could hardly fathom. He could feel it in his bones, a resonance that compelled him to listen, to understand, yet left him paralyzed in a state of awe and terror. The very essence of his existence seemed to hang in the balance, caught in a cosmic dance of fate. In that moment, he understood that the true nature of fear was not the unknown itself, but the realization that some mysteries were meant to remain unsolved. The light flickered once more, illuminating the impossibility of the agroglypho, a geometrical enigma that pulsed with life, a message from the cosmos etched into the soil of his world. As he stood entranced, the realization hit him. He was not merely an observer of this phenomenon, but an integral part of a greater narrative unfolding in the shadows, the inevitable intersection of the human experience with the cosmic unknown. What lay ahead was uncertain, but the promise of revelations lingered in the air, and he felt an undeniable urge to delve deeper into the heart of this enigma. The night was alive with potential, and the questions that plagued him were now mere stepping stones toward a truth that awaited him in the darkness. What would he find? And what price would he pay for the knowledge that lay hidden within the depths of the night? The answers were waiting, shrouded in mystery, as the cosmos beckoned him to embark on a journey he could never have anticipated. The atmosphere thickened, as if the very air was charged with an electric anticipation, pressing in against him. Each breath he took felt heavier, laden with the weight of the unknown. as if the universe had conspired to draw him deeper into its enigmatic embrace. Shadows danced at the periphery of his vision, flickering and twisting like phantoms caught in a dream, blurring the line between reality and the ethereal. The incessant hum pulsated through the ground beneath his feet, vibrating up through his bones, echoing in his chest, a primordial call from beyond the stars. The night was cloaked in a shroud of darkness, pierced only by the occasional flicker of distant stars, their light dimmed by the oppressive atmosphere that surrounded him. The fields stretched out in front of him, a vast expanse of grain that swayed gently, whispering secrets to the wind. He could feel the pulse of life in the earth, a rhythm that resonated with the hum of the unseen presence that lingered just beyond his understanding. It was a rhythm that seemed to echo the very heartbeat of the cosmos, and he was both terrified and awed by its resonance. With each step he took, the ground beneath him seemed to breathe, a subtle undulation that mirrored the rising tension in the air. The sound deepened, becoming a low drone that reverberated through the landscape, an alien symphony that transcended the natural order. It was an invitation and a warning, a reminder that he stood at the brink of something far greater than himself. As he continued forward, the hum began to shift, morphing into a series of complex pitches that intertwined, creating a melody that felt both familiar and utterly foreign, as if it was a language spoken by the stars themselves. Suddenly, the shadows coalesced into a shape, an outline that defied all logic and comprehension. It hovered just beyond the edge of his vision, a silhouette that seemed to flicker in and out of existence. It was a presence imbued with intelligence, a consciousness that seemed to be watching him, assessing him. The hairs on the back of his neck stood on end as he fought against the instinct to flee, to run from the unknown that beckoned him closer. And then, there it was, the agroglypho. The geometric formation revealed itself in the faint glow of the otherworldly light, its patterns intricate and mesmerizing, a language not meant for human understanding. The precision of its design was terrifying. The plants bent and curled with a purpose that suggested an intelligence far beyond his own. It was as if the very fabric of reality had been twisted and reshaped by an unseen hand, crafting a message that pulsed with life, with energy, and with a deep, haunting resonance that spoke to the very core of his being. The shapes within the agroglypho seemed to vibrate, a silent communication that left him breathless. He could feel the pull of its energy, the way it seemed to draw him into its depths, urging him to decipher its meaning. But as he stepped closer, a sudden chill swept through the air, a sharp contrast to the warmth of the light that enveloped the formation. It was a cold that gnawed at his skin, seeping into his bones, a reminder that he was not alone in this moment, that the presence watching him was not merely a figment of his imagination, but an entity that existed just beyond the veil of his understanding. He felt the ground shift beneath him, the vibrations intensifying, resonating in a way that made his heart race. The low hum morphed again, this time into a series of hollow tones, echoing through the stillness of the night. It was an unsettling sound, both beautiful and terrifying, like a cosmic song that had been sung for millennia, now reaching his ears. It felt like a warning, a reminder that he was a mere mortal standing at the threshold of the unknown, a fragile being caught in the vast expanse of the universe's mysteries. The air grew thick with tension, and the shadows around him seemed to pulse and writhe, alive with the energy of the moment. He could feel the weight of their gaze, the sense of being observed by something ancient and wise, something that had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations. It was a reminder that the universe was vast and indifferent, a cosmic dance of light and darkness where he was but a fleeting whisper. In that moment of clarity, he understood that the true horror was not in the unknown itself, but in the realization that some truths were buried deep within the fabric of existence, waiting to be unearthed. What lay ahead was a path steeped in uncertainty, but it was a path he felt compelled to walk. The light from the agroglypho pulsed rhythmically, each beat echoing in his chest, urging him forward into the heart of the mystery. As he stood before the luminous symbol, the world around him faded into a blur, and he felt time stretch and warp, a cosmic kaleidoscope of possibilities swirling around him. What revelations awaited him within the depths of this enigma? What truths would he uncover, and at what cost? The answers were hidden within the shadows, waiting to be revealed, and as the night deepened, he felt the inexorable pull of destiny guiding him toward a fate he could scarcely comprehend. The air crackled with energy, and he took a deep breath, steeling himself for the journey ahead. The universe was alive with secrets, and he was ready to confront them, to delve into the heart of the unknown, even if it meant facing the darkness that lurked just beyond the light. The call of the cosmos was undeniable, and he was prepared to answer it, to embrace the mysteries that awaited him in the depths of the night. The moment he stepped closer to the glowing agroglypho, the air thickened, a palpable tension that wrapped around him like a shroud. Each pulse of light seemed to resonate with a heartbeat, his heartbeat echoing in the stillness of the night. The world around him faded, replaced by an overwhelming focus on the symbol that had, just moments ago, been a distant curiosity, now transformed into the very essence of the cosmos. The light itself was mesmerizing, shifting in hues that defied earthly color palettes, blues that shimmered with an ethereal glow, ambers that flickered like distant stars, and whites that seemed to pierce the very fabric of reality. It was not merely a visual phenomenon, it was an experience that engaged all his senses. He could almost taste the electric tang in the air, a reminder of storms and secrets, of something waiting to be unleashed. The sound around him morphed too, as if the earth itself had begun to hum a low, resonant drone that vibrated deep within his bones, a symphony of the unknown that sent shivers racing down his spine. With each step, the ground felt alive beneath his feet, pulsating with energy, as though it were a living entity reacting to his presence. The shadows that danced at the edges of his vision began to coalesce, forming shapes that flickered in and out of clarity, a trick of the light, or perhaps something more. They beckoned him, their movements both alluring and sinister, whispering promises of knowledge and warnings of peril. He felt the ancient wisdom of the ageless cosmos surrounding him, a reminder that he was but a fleeting speck in a grand tapestry woven by time and space. In that moment, he recalled stories passed down through generations, the tales of those who had dared to venture into the unknown, who had sought answers to questions that were perhaps never meant to be asked. He remembered the dark fables of seekers who had vanished into the night, their cries swallowed by the void, leaving nothing behind but echoes of their folly. The weight of their choices pressed heavily on his heart, a reminder that curiosity could lead to enlightenment or despair. As he stood before the agroglypho, he felt the geometry of the symbol shift and morph, as if it were alive and responsive to his gaze. The intricate patterns were more than mere shapes. They were a language, a code that spoke to the very essence of existence. Spirals and fractals intertwined in a dance of divine mathematics, each curve and angle resonating with the music of the universe. It was a cosmic riddle, one that promised understanding, but threatened madness. The silence around him deepened, a silence that was not empty but filled with potential, a pregnant pause before the unveiling of a great truth. He could hear his own breath, quick and shallow, against the backdrop of the low hum that enveloped him. With every heartbeat, the agroglypho pulsed, and he felt a compulsion to touch it, to bridge the gap between mortal and cosmic, to connect the dots of a reality that felt just out of reach. But as he raised his hand, a rush of cold air swept through him, sending a chill spiraling down his spine. It was a sudden reminder that he was not alone. The sensation of being watched intensified, 1,000 unseen eyes boring into him from the shadows. He had crossed a threshold, and the cosmos was not merely observing. It was aware, vigilant, and perhaps even judgmental. The realization struck him with the force of a storm. This was not just an encounter with the unknown, it was a reckoning with his own insignificance, a confrontation with the truths he had long avoided. The lights above him flickered rhythmically as if they were a heartbeat, insistent and demanding his attention. They seemed to pulse in direct response to his fear, each thrum resonating within him, echoing the primal dread that clawed at the edges of his consciousness. It was a warning, a call to retreat, to turn back before it was too late. Yet, in the depths of his being, he felt an irresistible draw to the mystery that lay before him, a pull that transcended reason. As he stood there, torn between the urge to flee and the compulsion to uncover the truth, the shadows shifted once more. A form emerged from the darkness, a silhouette that was not entirely human, nor entirely alien. It was a distortion of light and shadow, a being that defied definition, hovering at the periphery of his vision. It sent a jolt of adrenaline coursing through him, igniting a primal fight-or-flight response. Yet he felt rooted to the spot, compelled to witness whatever revelation was about to unfold. The agroglypho pulsed brighter, and the low hum intensified, enveloping him in a cocoon of sound and light. It was as if the universe itself was holding its breath, waiting for him to make a choice. He closed his eyes for a moment, drawing in a deep breath, feeling the weight of countless eons pressing down on him. The shadows danced, the whispers grew louder, and he felt the thin veil between worlds begin to fray. What truth awaited him? What revelations lay hidden within the depths of this luminous enigma? He was poised on the brink of discovery, the edge of understanding, but at what cost? As he opened his eyes, the light from the agroglyphos surged, and in that instant, time itself seemed to fracture, splintering into myriad possibilities. The cosmos was alive, and he was about to step into its embrace, a journey into the unknown that would change him forever. The air was thick with an electric tension, an unseen force that seemed to wrap around him like a shroud. He stood frozen, the world around him fading into a muted blur, while the agroglypho pulsed with a life of its own, its geometric patterns weaving intricate stories that danced just beyond his comprehension. The very ground beneath his feet vibrated with a deep, resonant hum, a heartbeat echoing in the stillness of the field, whispering secrets of the cosmos that only he could hear. As the lights above flickered insistently, he felt a cold sweat bead on his forehead, an instinctual warning that reverberated through his body, urging him to retreat, to seek the safety of the familiar. Yet, the pull of the unknown was magnetic, drawing him closer to the center of this unfolding mystery. Each flicker seemed to synchronize with his racing heartbeat, an unsettling reminder of his own vulnerability against the vastness of the universe. He could almost hear the whispers of ancient beings echoing through the ages, beckoning him to step closer, to embrace the enigma that lay ahead. He took a hesitant step forward, the soil beneath him cool and damp, almost alive with energy. The air was laced with an unusual metallic scent, sharp and invigorating, as if the very atmosphere crackled with the remnants of something extraordinary. As he moved, shadows flitted across his periphery, teasing him with visions of shapes and forms that defied logic. They twisted and turned, coalescing into figures that held the promise of revelation but remained tantalizingly out of reach. With each passing moment, the agroglypho's luminosity shifted, transforming from a soft glow to a blinding brilliance that pierced the darkness. The patterns within it shifted fluidly, lines bending and curling in ways that seemed to defy the laws of physics, as though the very fabric of reality was being rewritten before his eyes. He could feel the vibrations resonating in his bones, a deep pulse that matched the rhythm of the cosmos, an ancient song sung by the stars. Then, amidst the cacophony of light and sound, he heard it, a low, melodic hum that rolled through the air like a wave, enveloping him in its embrace. It was a sound unlike anything he had ever experienced, resonant and haunting, sending chills racing down his spine. It spoke to him not in words, but in feelings, evoking a sense of wonder and terror intertwined. The shadows around him deepened, swirling like smoke, and he felt the weight of unseen eyes upon him, a sensation that crawled under his skin and ignited a primal fear within. In that moment, he caught sight of the silhouette again, flickering just at the edge of the agroglypho's glow. It was a form that shifted and shimmered, an abstraction that hinted at intelligence but remained frustratingly elusive. It beckoned him closer, an invitation wrapped in mystery, and he felt an undeniable urge to answer, to uncover the secrets that lay hidden within its depths. His breath quickened, a mixture of exhilaration and dread bubbling within him. What lay beyond the veil of this luminous phenomenon? What truths were waiting to be unveiled? Truths that might shatter his understanding of existence. He felt as though he was standing on the precipice of a great abyss, teetering on the edge of a revelation that could alter the course of his life forever. The agroglypho pulsed again, and with it came a sudden rush of air, a shift in the atmosphere that sent his heart racing. It was as if the very universe had exhaled, releasing a torrent of energy that surged through him, igniting every nerve ending with electric fervor. For a fleeting moment, the world around him faded into nothingness, and all that existed was the radiant glow of the agroglypho and the shadows that danced in its light. Then, just as quickly, the silence fell heavy, wrapping him in its suffocating embrace. The hum ceased, the lights dimmed, and the shadows retreated, leaving him alone in the vastness of the field. He stood there, heart pounding, breath caught in his throat, the weight of anticipation pressing down upon him. The moment felt suspended in time, a delicate balance on the knife's edge of discovery and despair. Suddenly, a sharp crack sliced through the stillness, a sound that resonated deep within the earth and echoed in the very marrow of his bones. It was a noise both alien and familiar, a signal that something was shifting, something was breaking free from the confines of the ordinary. His skin prickled as he felt the air grow colder, the atmosphere thickening with an energy that charged the very fabric of reality. The agroglypho began to shimmer once more, its patterns shifting rapidly, spiraling into a vortex of light that drew his gaze. It was a mesmerizing dance, a cosmic ballet that pulled at the strings of his very being, urging him to join the performance. He could feel the sheer force of the phenomenon calling him, beckoning him to step into the unknown, to embrace the mysteries that lay ahead. But as he stood there, teetering on the brink, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was not alone. The shadows had returned, swirling and coiling like tendrils of smoke, and he could sense the presence of something watching, something waiting. Fear clawed at his insides, but beneath it lay an unquenchable thirst for knowledge, a desire to understand the intricate tapestry of the universe and his place within it. What revelation awaited him? What truth would emerge from the shadows, and would he be prepared to face it? As the light from the agroglypho surged, illuminating the field in a brilliant glow, he took a deep breath, steeling himself for what was to come. The veil between worlds was thin, and in that moment he knew he was about to step into a reality that would change him forever. The dawn broke slowly, a hesitant promise of light creeping across the horizon, casting long shadows over the field where the agroglypho had manifested the previous night. From above, the formation was a masterpiece of geometry, intricate spirals and fractals woven together with an artistry that defied natural explanation. The air was thick with an electric tension, a lingering echo of the cosmic energy that had surged through the land just hours ago. It was an unsettling sight, one that invited awe and dread in equal measure, as if the very essence of the universe had conspired to reveal its secrets in this solitary patch of earth. As he stood there, gazing down at the crop circle's mesmerizing patterns, he felt the ground beneath him pulse with an almost sentient rhythm. The once familiar sounds of nature now seemed muted, as if the world was holding its breath, waiting for something monumental to unfold. The delicate rustle of wind through the tall stalks of corn sounded like whispers, secrets exchanged between the earth and the sky. His mind raced with the possibilities. How could something so perfect, so impossibly complex, have appeared overnight? Anxiety gripped him, tightening its hold with every heartbeat, reminding him of the fear that had nearly paralyzed him in the face of the unknown. The sun climbed higher, and with it came a shift in the atmosphere. A heavy, metallic scent hung in the air, sharp, almost intoxicating. He found himself stepping closer to the center of the formation, drawn not just by curiosity, but by an inexplicable need to connect, to understand. Each step felt deliberate, as if he were walking through a portal rather than just across a field. The shadows danced around him, bending at the edges of his vision, teasing him with glimpses of movement that felt almost alive. His heart raced as he reached the epicenter of the agroglypho, the geometric patterns swirling beneath his feet. Suddenly his phone buzzed violently in his pocket, the screen illuminating the darkening sky. An interference that had plagued the area since the night before erupted in a cacophony of static, drowning out the serene sounds of the field. He pulled it out, the screen filled with a flurry of notifications from local news outlets and social media, all buzzing with the same urgent question: what happened in the field? He glanced around, half expecting to see the curious faces of neighbors or the flashing lights of news vans, but only solitude greeted him. The world felt suspended, as if time itself had paused. The shadows seemed to draw closer, their edges sharpening against the daylight, whispering promises of truths that lay just beyond the veil of reality. A shiver ran down his spine as he caught a fleeting glimpse of something, a silhouette perhaps, at the fringe of the field. He turned, but nothing was there, only the stillness that wrapped around him like a shroud. The air vibrated again, but this time it was different, a deeper resonance that rolled through the ground like distant thunder. His body responded instinctively, the primal part of him urging him to flee. Yet another part, the one fueled by an insatiable curiosity, held him in place. What if this was a moment of revelation? What if he were on the cusp of understanding something beyond human comprehension? He knelt beside the intricate designs, running his fingers over the bent stalks of corn, marveling at their undamaged state, how they appeared to bow gracefully without breaking. There was something almost reverent about the way they had been manipulated, as if they were willing participants in a cosmic dance. The patterns seemed to pulse beneath his touch, a heartbeat of the earth, responding to his presence. And then, as if in response to his unspoken questions, a low hum resonated through the air, vibrating in harmony with the geometry beneath him. The sound enveloped him, wrapping around him like a warm blanket, yet it was tinged with an underlying chill that settled deep in his bones. It was both inviting and terrifying, a siren call that urged him to listen closer. Straining his ears, he could distinguish a melody within the hum, elusive yet profound, a language of the cosmos that spoke of connection and unity. The realization struck him. He was no longer just an observer. He was part of something grander, something that transcended the boundaries of human understanding. As he drew back, overwhelmed by the enormity of the moment, he felt a presence, a weight of attention upon him. It was subtle yet undeniable, a sensation of being watched, scrutinized by an intelligence beyond his comprehension. The shadows thickened again, coiling like serpents, and for the briefest moment he felt as if they were revealing a hidden truth, something waiting to be unveiled. Then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the hum ceased. The world fell silent once more, and he was left alone in the vastness of the field, the shadows retreating, the sun casting long fingers of light over the agroglypho. The moment felt charged, as if every breath he took was laced with the promise of discovery. But the deeper truth loomed just out of reach, obscured by fear and the weight of unanswered questions. He stood there, heart pounding, knowing that the mystery surrounding the formation was far from over. The symbols whispered to him, urging him to return, to delve deeper into the enigma that had emerged in the quiet of the night. As he turned to leave, he felt a lingering gaze upon him, an echo of the unknown, a reminder that the secrets of the cosmos were not yet finished with him. What lay ahead? He could not know, but the pull of the agroglypho was undeniable, a call to return to the fields where the universe had bared its soul. And with that thought swirling in his mind, he took his first step back, already anticipating the shadows that would undoubtedly welcome him once more. The air was thick with the weight of unspoken truths as he stepped away from the agroglypho, each footfall echoing in the hush of the field. The sun hung low, a molten orb spilling golden light that danced across the intricate patterns etched into the earth. Yet despite the beauty of the scene, a palpable tension lingered, as if the very ground beneath him vibrated with a secret longing, urging him to remain, to probe deeper into the fabric of the mystery that had unfolded. As he walked, the warmth of the day began to fade, a chill creeping into the twilight that seemed to seep through his skin, settling in the marrow of his bones. He felt as if he were caught in a delicate web, threads of fear and curiosity intertwining, each strand vibrating with the resonance of the unknown. The shadows around him deepened, pooling like ink, and with them came the faintest whisper of a melody, a haunting tune that seemed to rise from the earth itself, flowing through the air like a forgotten lullaby. He paused, closing his eyes, allowing the sound to envelop him. It was a harmony of frequencies, oscillating in a way that felt both ancient and alien, as if the cosmos were weaving a tapestry of connection between him and the very essence of existence. In that moment, he was no longer merely a man in a field. He was a conduit for something greater, a participant in a cosmic dance that transcended time and space. But with this realization came a surge of fear, a stark reminder of the entity that had been watching him. The sensation of scrutiny returned, more intense than before, prickling at the back of his neck like 1,000 tiny needles. He turned, half expecting to see the source of that gaze, but the field lay quietly before him, the only movement the gentle rustle of the cornstalks swaying in the evening breeze. Yet deep down, he knew something lingered just beyond the veil of perception. Then he noticed a flicker of light at the edge of the field. It was subtle, a glimmer that danced along the periphery of his vision, teasing him with its presence. Intrigued and terrified, he stepped closer, compelled by an unseen force. The light pulsed rhythmically, almost in sync with the melody that now filled his ears, a symphony of the unknown that thrummed with an energy he could not comprehend. As he approached, the shape of the agroglypho became clearer in the dimming light, its geometric precision more pronounced. The patterns twisted and turned, spirals and fractals that seemed to defy the very laws of nature, their logic incomprehensible, yet beautiful. He could see the way the stalks of wheat bent at odd angles, as if they were bowing to some unseen architect. The air grew thick with a metallic tang, and he could feel the very essence of the symbols vibrating through him, resonating with an echo of ancient wisdom. With every step closer, the hum intensified, a low, resonant frequency that seemed to vibrate through the soil and reverberate within his chest. He could taste it in the air, a flavor that was both sweet and bitter, a reminder of the fragility of knowledge and the weight of ignorance. The shadows around him flickered, twisting and turning, and for a moment he could have sworn he saw figures moving within them, silhouettes that danced just out of reach, their forms shifting like smoke in the wind. "What do you want?" he whispered into the dusk. His voice broke the silence, a plea for understanding that hung heavily in the air, suspended between realms. The shadows responded with a soft rustling, as if the very earth was contemplating the question, holding its breath in anticipation. The light flickered again, brighter now, drawing him closer as if it were a beacon calling him home. Suddenly, the hum ceased, plunging him into a silence so profound it felt like a shroud. The world around him held its breath, and in that stillness, he felt a pulse, a heartbeat of the universe that resonated with his own. It was a reminder of the connection that lay beneath the surface, a reminder that he was not alone, that there were forces at play that he could barely grasp. What lay behind the curtain of reality was still a mystery, but he sensed it was something far beyond human comprehension. Then, as if answering his unspoken question, a shape emerged from the light, a silhouette that felt both familiar and foreign. It lingered just at the edge of his vision, teasing him with its presence, yet refusing to fully reveal itself. His heart raced, a mixture of fear and exhilaration coursing through him. Was this the intelligence that had watched him, the one that had woven the patterns into the field? As he stood there, on the precipice of revelation, the shadows began to retreat, revealing the full extent of the agroglypho. It was more than just a symbol. It was a language, an invitation to explore the deeper mysteries of existence. He felt the urge to reach out, to touch the very essence of the unknown that lay before him. But an instinctual caution held him back. The connection was profound, yet fraught with danger, a reminder that some doors once opened could never be closed again. He took a step back, breathless, his mind racing with questions that demanded answers. The light pulsed again, and he could feel a gentle tug at his consciousness, a whispered promise that this was not the end but merely a threshold. There was more to uncover, more layers to peel back, and the cosmos was inviting him to dive deeper into its mysteries. As he turned to leave, the weight of the gaze returned, a lingering presence that felt both protective and foreboding. The shadows whispered secrets, and he felt their pull, urging him to return, to unravel the threads of the enigma that had entwined itself around his soul. With every step away from the field, he could feel the echoes of the experience resonating within him, a reminder that the secrets of the cosmos were far from finished with him. And in that moment, as he looked back one last time at the agroglypho, a chilling thought pierced through the haze of his mind. What if this was merely the beginning? What if the shadows held more than just mysteries? What if they were waiting for him to return, to complete a cycle that had begun long before his arrival? The question hung in the air, an invitation and a warning, and as he walked away, the field behind him seemed to pulse with life, a reminder that the story was far from over. If you want to delve deeper into the mysteries that lie hidden in the shadows, subscribe and join us on this journey into the unknown. There are more secrets waiting to be uncovered, more stories woven into the fabric of the universe, and together we can explore them all.